back. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 15 of the It's Been a Minute podcast. I'm your host. Y'all know me, Trevor Augustus, and my partner in crime to the left of my screen, or however you're viewing this podcast, is Angus AJ Johnson. What it do, baby?
What's going on, baby? How we doing?
Yes, sir.
Back at another one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back, man. Episode 15. Ready to get a good episode in for you guys. Any shout outs you want to give this week or no?
Man, I did have a shout out. A shout out to Tequila Reposado. It is any tequila reposado. It's sponsoring this episode right now. Appreciate you guys. It's an unpaid sponsor.
Unpaid.
Still looking for that.
Hopefully to be paid one of these days.
No, I'm a shout out something. Shout out my sister on her new assignment. The family's proud of you. See, and there goes that tequila already hit me. That the family is very, very proud of you, and we love you. Send our love from here to New York. Shout out to you, Asia.
Shout out to Asia. Before we get any further, I want to remind everybody, as I do every week, please like, share, and subscribe to the pod. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple, we are on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Tell everybody to watch the show and listen. We appreciate your listening ears, your watchful eyes. um, as we did last week, we are kind of taking a break from the sports talk a little bit, but we can before we kind of get in the meat of the show. Since we are in the greater Orlando area, the Orlando Magic, man. Just before we get into anything, we're gonna discuss the playoffs probably later on when we get towards like maybe the both conference finals. To the closer we get to the finals, we'll probably discuss the playoffs more, just so we can kind of get a sense of who's and what. Bro, the Magic. Oh my god.
It was disappointing. It was at the time where I was like, you know what? Because I'm not a Magic fan, even though I live in Orlando. But I was like, you know what? I'll go for the Magic. They've been turning around for the last few years. They've been trying to become a competitive team. They've been a playoff team.
Mhm.
Maybe this is the year. I know they had a rocky year. I thought they were going to be really good this year, but they had another rocky year because of injuries. They finally brought it back together, made something happen, got into the playoffs, and just to see another 3-1 defeat, and it's crazy, is because before LeBron did it with the Warriors, it's like I've never seen it happen so many times. And mind you, before LeBron did that to the Warriors did that to OKC. So I haven't seen that happen as much. Um, you know, when we were growing up, coming down from 3-1 or even 3-0 or 2-0 was kind of like, yeah, that you were just looking for a gentleman's suite just so you could have your pride
Yeah.
when you on vacation. So it's like now it's just, man, to see that it actually really is possible if you have the grit, the will, and you have enough skill, and your bench is healthy enough, and you guys don't lose yourself mentally. It's possible to come back from 3-1. So that was really, really disappointing. I mean, being that I'm from Toledo, 35 minutes away from Detroit, I like seeing them first seed this year, and they look great. So shout out to Detroit. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons. It's good to see Cade back healthy, and for him to make that comeback, he looked great. So they it was very, very disappointing, man, for the Magic. Right as I just was like, you know what, I'll go for them. I'll go for them, and then that happened. I was just like, are you kidding me? It's ridiculous.
I don't know why, but like this year just kind of felt different, and like I didn't really expect us to really because I'm more of a Magic fan than you are, but
Yeah.
I didn't really expect much. But as soon as we went up 2-1, I'm like, oh snap, we can actually do this. I mean,
Hmm.
we were like, and I wasn't just like some normal like game where we was putting belt, like literally, we was putting belt to Detroit. I'm like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
went up 3-1. I'm like, okay, bet. All right, game 6 happens. I'm like, okay. Well, no, game 5 happens. I'm like, okay.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. It happened. Let's just close out on game 6. Like game 6 happens, it's like 71-54 in the 3rd quarter, and then the bottom just falls out. Like, I don't like, what was it, like 23 missed field goals? That's like the most of any
Great.
playoff team ever. Like, yeah,
I think they didn't score for like 11 minutes or something like that. Oh, it was crazy. It had been like 6.5 to 11 minutes, something within that. That was insane. I think it was between 2 different quarters.
I think the actual time they said it was like 45 minutes between a basket. Like, they
Yeah,
had, like
something like that.
they literally had, like, I think it was 71 points, and then by the time Detroit had came back, they had only ended up with, like, 79 points. This is a professional basketball team, mind you. Like, what do we do?
Mm. You know what's crazy is that, they just fired the coach, and,
As they should.
I think that team is about to be blown up. Uh, there's a lot of good talent on that team, but there's also just not enough at the same time, and it's a lot of inconsistent talent. I love to see Paolo taking a lot of accountability. It shows that he's here to stay and continue to grow.
Yeah.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if he eventually asks for a trade, if not leaves. So, he has so much potential. He just needs to stay healthy. But it's people like Stephen Curry who was hurt early in their career, like Griffin, other people. Joel Embiid is playing amazing right now while he has no knees. So people that have these like really rocky careers are still able to make something out of it. But it would be nice to see him kind of take that next step.
I
It
want him to evolve his game, bro. Like, he needs to evolve a little bit. Like, he plays like he's smaller than what he is. Like
exactly.
like
He's big, man. He needs
he's
to play that way.
huge.
Dude, they call him LeBron. They call him like the Puerto Rican LeBron. Like,
He's built like
he's the
LeBron,
same
yeah.
size. He's built just like LeBron. He's the same size, and he has the same. He has better handles, to be honest, and he could drive just as well. I just think he's very inconsistent and gets hurt, and that plays a lot of part. In being inconsistent is having injuries. It's hard for you to continue. So the thing about it is when you're spending your off seasons healing instead of working on your game, that's that's when you're not able to progress, and you're kind of essentially stuck in this rut. You know where I think, someone that I didn't give, enough credit to, and I think someone that has built his game very well is Jason Tatum. Jason
Yeah,
Tatum to me is like almost he's pretty much his game is so fluid, it's very nice.
yeah.
And he's grown too, he's definitely gotten taller, and that's what I think Paolo not essentially could play like, but aspire his progression like. Whereas Jason Tatum came in the game kinda like with this nice raw talent, and now he's just extremely developed, and even coming back from injury, he looked great. So, just to bring it back on top, it was very, very disappointing because you know what? When they went up 3-1, I was like, "Hold up. I think they can do this." And I was like, "I think they can easily go to the Eastern Conference Finals." Because I think they could beat the Cavs. If
Oh,
they
yeah.
would've beat the Detroit Pistons, I think they coulda beat the Cavs. They coulda, at least took the Cavs to game 6 or 7. I think they woulda beat the Cavs. And then if not, Toronto at that time too. And then to be honest, I had Orlando beating I have them beating Philadelphia. I'm not sure about New York, but I have them beating Philadelphia. So, it was a real opportunity for them really to kinda make their way all the way to the finals. But, that's why playing teams are playing teams, man.
Yeah, no, that's why they were the 8th seed because they inconsistent, and I think like, this is really a case where Paolo needs help. Like, Jalen's
Yeah,
is not the answer at point guard.
yeah,
I don't know what he'd be doing. And then Wagner, I feel like if we had Wagner in the starting lineup, we probably would have, like, closed it out. But Wagner was hurt. It's like
yeah,
you need talent surrounding like that game 7, Banchero had what, like 38 points? Some crazy stat. So it's not like you can't score, it's just you definitely need people around you. Desmond Bain, if he can just stay consistent like he's been doing the whole season, yeah, I can see that, but We need a guard. We need somebody to, facilitate, and we need defense.
You know who would actually have been a perfect person I could see being put in a trade package for him? For, Suggs and Wendell Carter, because you know who's also looking for a trade? I'm not sure if they already traded him. I think they already did they trade Anthony Davis already?
I think they were talking about it.
Because 'Cause I'm saying I would trade for draft picks and a couple different picks for Anthony Davis and Trae Young to send him to Orlando. Anthony Davis is already kinda, like, older, he's hurt, but he still has enough talent when he's healthy. It gives you size and that lob threat and that defensive threat inside whenever he's healthy. And then I would have Trae Young. If anything, go get Trae Young. I think Trae Young fits very perfectly in that system, especially next to Franz, Desmond Bane, and Paolo. But you need like a true guard. You need like an actual true guard for that team because you have the scorers. Like you said, Paolo finishing high in points in Game 7. It's you have the skill set there. It's just man, you need a facilitator, like you said. You need an actual general because you know what's one thing about Orlando Magic, and I actually thought this before someone else told me this already, was that, I'm not sure if I lost connection, it said connecting, but
I can still see you, so
you can still see me? Awesome, awesome. But before I thought this before I heard this the other day, and someone literally said the Magic are known for just taking really bad shots. They just take a lot of bad shots throughout the game.
yes,
There's no one on the court that's actually really kinda really having that on-court general or on-court coach or someone that's keeping them put together. It's just a lot of ISO ball or just kinda bad shots and fast breaking, and,
yes.
they just need more structure, and that's exactly why the coach got fired because it's like, this is the second time this has happened.
I can't I've seen, like, I got so many times, especially, like, in game 6 when Detroit was starting to come back. I'm like, "Listen, all y'all gotta do is just do your offense, let the clock run down." It's a simple philosophy. Y'all was up, like, 20
Yeah,
something points, but then, like, he'll bring it down the court, and he'll make, like, one pass, and they'll take an ill-advised shot, and then Detroit and they're a younger team too, they're running up and down the court. You know, Tobias Harris he's balling out of his mind, and then Cade, like, I don't know why they put Bankero on Cade, that's a mismatch. I mean, before you knew it, like,
yeah,
it got down to, like, 3 points, I'm like, "Oh, boy, here we go." Man,
yeah. It's same old, man. I know how you feel. My boys were knocked out of the play-in, so and we talked about that a couple episodes ago.
yeah,
And you know, like you said, we weren't trying to get into too much sports, so we'll revisit this because there's a lot of sports to go over. I mean, we have the NFL draft coming up. We definitely want to go over, or not the NFL. I'm sorry, the NBA draft, but the NFL draft has just passed by. We definitely want to go over some of those draft picks and some steals for some of these teams, and we'll bring that to you guys' attention soon. We also want to address the NBA draft coming up soon, and then you know that Trevor is more bigger on the college side of sports, so we'll be
yeah.
able to get some insight on who he thinks will be a good steal, and also who's may possibly be a bust, someone that should have dropped, someone that maybe should have been higher. You know, we may get a Dion the Goat draft uh, mock draft. That actually may be nice. We may need an annual mock draft for my boy. We got a Mel Kiper in the building
We
right
got
now.
got the Mel
I mean,
Kiper.
hey, we got the dark skinned Mel Kiper. That's what I'm gonna call you, Mel Kiper.
Call me Makai
You
Pfeiffer.
know what I mean? Yeah, man. So we'll definitely address some sports for you guys, and then what I definitely want to go over maybe is the end of a dynasty because there's not too many dynasties in sports right now. There's a few, but one dynasty that's officially may have coming to an end is the Golden State Warriors. It has been coming to a trail end for the last few years. That is my dear team. That has been my team before Curry days. I was a huge Monte Ellis fan. I was a huge Baron Davis fan. Huge Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Andre Kirilenko, AK-47 fan, Jarrett Jack, Steven Jackson, David Lee before the injury. Like I'm a huge Golden State Warriors fan. Jason Richardson, Alonzo Mourning, like it goes on and on. So it's like you know, we'll definitely come back to sports, but Trev, go ahead and take over so we can get into this episode.
All right, man. I had this like discuss. Well, not really a discussion, but I'm just thinking about like when I see certain people that is of a certain generation, whether it's old or young. Um, first before we even get into that, what do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to people in our generation? Because I seen a post on Instagram that it was so crazy to me. There was a picture of like Blockbuster and all the comments, and I think even the caption was like, "Yeah, Gen Z don't know what this is like." And I can't help but think to myself, I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like, what do you mean?" Like I've seen people, like I've seen like posts about phone books, and people are like, "Oh yeah, Gen Z wouldn't know nothing about that." Like, yeah, yeah, I remember phone books. I remember payphones. I remember phone books. I remember doggone when you had to like when we didn't have Spotify and we didn't have Apple Music and stuff like that. What do you think is the biggest like misconception when it comes to people in our generation or a little older?
That's a great question. And before I answer the question, I just want to go back a couple of seconds. I said Alonzo Mourning. I meant to say Tim Hardaway, before you guys cancel me. Um, to go back to answer the question, that's a great question. And to answer that question, first of all, I just kind of want to really touch on a few things before I go into that, because that's a really great question. And what I really wanted to touch on, one is people forget that your really biggest influence is whichever year was your parents' teenage years, or whichever was their peak years. So if your parents are at 90s, or like their 90s was when they went through their teenage or adulthood, like their early 20s.
Yeah,
If the 80s or 70s was that time, that's your influence. That's the things that you come up off of. It's because the peak years of your parents' years are going to be what they show you the most. That's their most live years. So for me personally, being raised by young parents, my parents had me at 19 and 18, and they were born in 79. That means they graduated high school in the 90s and they went through their teenage and early 20s around 98 and through the early 2000s. So the interest that they had at that time, being that they were young adults, is what I grew up off of.
yeah,
And that's just what's gonna be. That's just always being for anyone else. Like the interest that your parents grew off of or grew up on, that's what they're going to instill in you, is because the things that people like the most is what they pass on to the people that they love. So, I mean, I grew up off of 90s culture.
yeah.
Fresh Prince, Saved by the Bell, Martin, Boy Meets World, um, Steve Harvey's show. Like the list goes on and on. Golden Girls, like
Yeah.
the list goes on and on and on and on and on. I remember when and this is to go more into what he was saying, Trev. I remember when the iPod Touch was a little square and it had a little circle and it had up and volume, plus and minus, and then up and down, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember it turned into a little clip and it had a screen on it, and you could slide on it.
Mhm.
This was my elementary years. And then the next year it turned into a little square thing, a little long square rectangular where it
Yep.
had a screen up the top. And then
Yep.
you can spin and dial. And you know what that looks like now? That's the Apple TV remote. Y'all y'all don't know nothing about that.
That
That y'all
don't
don't
let
know
that
nothing
go
about
over
that.
your head
That's
now.
the
Dropping knowledge.
yeah, exactly. Please, because us Gen Z, we've been around. I mean, we watched. I remember my mom had a sidekick, and all that different types of stuff. I remember her having a BlackBerry phone with the kick up and everything.
Mhm.
I remember when the first iPod Touch came out, the first screen where you can load up your music, and you had like a little actual like a app interface page. And then the very next year, that turned into the first iPhone um, touch and an iPhone screen to compete with BlackBerry at that time, because BlackBerry was getting pretty creative. They was BlackBerry when we grew up. BlackBerry was fun.
BlackBerry was putting built
BlackBerry was
everybody.
exactly for real, for real. Watch the BlackBerry movie. That's a really good movie out there. Um, but yeah, I mean, just to answer the question after really touching all that stuff, I really do think that the biggest misconceptions is that they think that we don't know what outside looks like. They think that we're not the last generation to be outside. That or we are the last generation to be outside. Correction. They're not. Millennials are not the last generation. It is I would say Gen Alpha. I would say Gen Alpha barely goes outside anymore.
They don't at
I mean,
all.
you may see kids outside here and there, but I really don't. I really don't. And it's honestly, it's not the safest world anymore to really be playing outside
It's
anymore.
really not.
But it's just but if you walk in a neighborhood, you don't even hear them playing in the backyard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, when we got home and then the thing about me and Trevor, and it's funny because we were on the phone talking about this earlier today, dude, we used to be playing on that TV for, like, 10 hours, playing Madden 2K, but that was after we already were outside playing Madden and basketball, you know what I mean? Like, real football and basketball. That was our generation. I think people think we weren't outside, but we were like the crossover. Like, we were outside and then we watched things turn. Like, I remember when YouTube first came out. I remember
Oh,
wanting
yeah.
to come home and actually look up Ed Bassmaster prank videos and other little things. Like, yo, like, I remember all different types of things. Me and my family sit there, watch around the table, we watch these prank videos and laugh. Now we have group chats where we send each other memes. It's the same thing. So, um, yeah, man, they don't give us enough credit for being in tune, with society, being in tune with, like, culture and understanding that we know what outside looks like, man. We not no iPad kids. That's Gen A.
Listen, I remember you put me onto that, what's that guy that used to dance with the dubstep in the background nonstop? You the one that put me
Nonstop.
onto that guy. He'd be
Yeah.
pop
Late
locking with the
twins too.
dubstep. Yeah, like him, A-Rap music. Like, that was, like,
Yeah.
like, old days of, like, YouTube where, it wasn't no streaming. It wasn't like Mr. Beast and Logan Paul and Jake Paul
Nah.
and
Dude, I
Steve.
remember Mr. Beast's old videos, bro. I
Yes,
remember
exactly.
he would literally go and get pennies and fill backyards full of pennies just to do crazy videos.
Yes.
He would, like, withdraw them and try to say he was like, "Today, I'm gonna try to fill my friend's, father's, backyard with pennies, and I'm gonna surprise him and tell him he can have all of them." He's been doing that, bro. He's been giving people money. He's been doing that. So, yo, it's Mr. Beast is it's crazy. Like, his growth is we've been watching this stuff, man. It's been
Yeah.
insane. And I'm 27, about to be 28 in July. So it's like we've been watching this for almost like 17, 20 years now.
Yeah, I'm 27. I'm gonna be 28 in October. So, like, I know exactly what he's saying, guys, is true. Like I said it earlier, like, I know what Blockbuster is. Like, before, listen,
Yeah.
but before there was Netflix, listen, I remember when Netflix first came out and they were, like, sending people DVDs. You could order
Yeah.
DVDs from Netflix, and then you had to send it back, like, a day later or so. You would order what you want, and then you get to send it
Hmm.
back in the mail before they ever started streaming. Like, come
For
on,
sure.
man. Come on, man.
I remember when Redbox put Blockbuster officially out of business.
Yes, I
When Redbox
yep.
started showing when Redbox started showing up on every 7-Eleven and Walmart corner,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
people were going out to get, rentals for $1 a night,
$1,
$1 a
bro.
night, and we would put it in the new PS3 Blu-ray that just came out at that time. Bro, people don't know, bro.
Yeah,
People don't understand, man. And you know what's crazy? I think another big misconception is they feel like we don't understand this stuff because while this was going on, we were children. And I think they really misconceive how much children actually pay attention to things and how they retain it for later on for their own life experiences. So at the end of the day, we listen to our parents talk about their childhood all the time and the things that happened when they were kids and with their parents. So why don't you think that we're going to retain and keep the same information for ourselves as experiences to share later on? So I really do think that they think that we were ignorant and naive to everything that was going on through this change in society, and so for them, because they were a little older, like the millennials, they were in their 20s and maybe their teenage years, and they were able to actually experience a lot of this stuff. Like some of them were coming like being 10 to 13 years old with like MySpaces and AOLs, and all of a sudden Like, I remember when it went from AOL to Yahoo. I had an AOL email. I had an AOL email, and then I had a Yahoo email. Like, man, people
Remember,
don't
hey,
understand, man. I remember
remember the
Disney
Yahoo
games,
games? Remember the Yahoo games too?
Yahoo games,
Disney games?
Disney games, cool math games, Disney XD. Like, bro,
Oh,
I
yes.
me and my sister used to, a Nickelodeon game, bro. Like religiously, we used to be on that computer after school. And then you know what's funny? Because then my mom was like, you know, you guys used to be outside, you know, now y'all always on YouTube and stuff like that. And so then they started locking the computer. And we are like, all right, bet. So we just go back outside.
Like,
Go
bro,
back
that's
outside. You know what I mean?
bro, my core memories are, like, being outside playing football. Remember, like remember the first not the no, not the first house that y'all were in. The second house that was, like, I think the one that your grandma had and y'all took over the lease. I think it was
Yeah.
something like that, and it was, like, me, you, and Jalen were out there throwing water balloons at cars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that. I remember
That
that.
memory is etched in my brain, like, listen, statute of limitations is over with, guys. This was years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yo, I remember that. That's crazy. Yo, that's
we would, like,
insane. What was we doing?
climb the tree and, like, but we like, one day I came over and y'all had these, like, balloons, and we were throwing them at each other, and then we were like, "Let's start throwing them at cars." And then I don't
Yo, that was insane.
I don't know who threw it, but one car actually stopped and, like, and backed up. Like,
Yes, it was a silver Honda.
yeah, it was a yeah, exactly.
Yeah, bro. Because when you started talking about it, that's all I think about was that car stopping and backing up. And
Bro,
did we run or it was some Haitian man, right? It was some Haitian man or
I
something
don't
like
remember,
that?
I took off.
Yeah, I think we ran, bro. I forgot what happened.
Bro,
Did
like,
he come and knock on the door or something like that? I forgot what
I
happened.
don't remember what I remember, like, somebody I don't forgot who threw it, but somebody hit the back of the car, and all I remember is a car stopping, and I seen the reverse lights. Next thing I know, pew! Bro, we took off.
Yeah, man. I remember that one. I remember that one.
Like,
And to be honest, I don't think we ever seen him. I think we hit and ran. We were laughing in the back seat, just hard rushing
bro,
or racing rather. And man, dude, that's a core memory right there. I haven't
that
thought
is
about
such
that
a
in a
core
minute.
memory, man.
Man, they think and that's the thing, that generation has a lot of core memories being outside. We do too, man. I remember me and my cousin playing in the cul-de-sac. At I think we had like the second house when I was in second grade. So I was like what, like 8, 9 years old maybe. Yeah, like 8 years old or something. And we were playing, he was standing on a little mount where a tree at the end of the cul-de-sac, and our house was at the corner at the very end, but we're at the end of the street on the other side. And all of a sudden, he just started like itching himself. When we looked down, he's standing in an ant pile. Fire ants have covered his whole leg.
Oh,
And I
man.
just remember saying, Jalen, run! Jalen, run! And he just screaming, running us, ah! Just screaming. He just ran right into, like, by the time I got in the shower, my dad is literally like, go. He already has the shower on. He's like, go, get in there, get in there. He had to shower off, man. That boy was bit up. He was bit up real bad, man.
Oh,
Real,
man.
real bad. And then that house too was the same house I sleepwalked in. I would lock myself in the garage. I would sleepwalk and walk into the garage and lock myself in. My parents would think it's an intruder and they'd come in there. I'd lock myself in. I'm sleepwalking. I one time sleepwalked down the street.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, man.
I didn't know that.
Crazy. Crazy core memories, bro. Crazy core
Oh,
memories.
my goodness.
You got me going down. You got me thinking this is a therapy session. I'm about to start talking about all my childhood. And
No,
then
that's right. And then uh,
yeah, man. That's a big conversation. We'll constantly go over the differences between generations in this podcast is because there's definitely a societal shift going on right now. And one thing I want to tell you guys that stood out to my what my dad said to me the other day, and I wanted to share that with you guys is that he was it was the way that they were answering or asking questions to me, him and my mom, and or I guess not necessarily asking questions, but what they thought was normal or what was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily that it was a problem, it's just that I didn't agree with it. But you know what my dad said to me? He was like, "Hey, man, we're 2 different generations. That's why we have to continue to talk to each other, let each other know, like, what's okay and what's not okay. It's because we're always gonna have somewhat of a disconnect because that's just how we think, that's how y'all think." And, that stuck with me. That actually made me digress a lot. That made me realize, like, "Okay, stop being so judgmental. You guys are from a different time, and the generation below us is from a different time. So, try not to be so hard on everybody. Continue to communicate and try to be able to share what's okay to you and what's not okay to you. That way people get along better. Doesn't matter whether you're old, young, really doesn't matter, man. Just treat everybody with respect."
So that does kind of segue into the two part of that question was like, do you feel a disconnect from the generation that's before you and the generation that comes after you? I do think that it's a slight, or not more so a slight, it's a significant gap, I feel like. Especially I feel like maybe with the generation after us, because like being like our age, it feels weird because we at the same time as much as we might feel like we're younger, that 5 years between like 21 to like 27 or 26 it does a lot. Especially the fact that we went through a pandemic and we went through other things in our life that has shaped who we are. We became adults at maybe the worst time because of a pandemic and because of how bad the economy is. And I feel like, because I see like kids that are like 19, 20, and I feel like this disconnect because it's like you ever try talking to somebody from this generation, it's like, oh my goodness. I'm like, now it's like now I kind of see what our parents kind of felt like when they were trying to talk to us when we were that age. I don't know if that's the same with you or what.
Yeah, you know what it is that, and I'm not saying this is what it is, but this is what it is to me. We know we're so exposed to so much because of social media, and we talked about social media last week. Um, I believe we may touch on something a little later, but I think because of social media, we're so exposed to so much. Like our brain is oversaturated with everybody else's life experiences.
Yeah.
So we think we know everything, but we don't have enough discernment as our last generation was able to receive from their parents on knowing better. And I thought about this the other day. I was like, our generation knows a lot because we have access to so much information, but we don't tend to know better because we don't have a lot of guidance with that information. It's just so much. And not a lot of us are treating the information that we're consuming appropriately.
Yeah.
And we're taking a lot of what we think is true all the time, or we're just taking that little snapshot of someone's frame of life, someone's snapshot in that timeline as the only thing that they got going on. And so a lot of us are misinformed. A lot of us are misinformed and we misspeak or misspoke. Um, to be quite frank, we don't know what we're talking about. We don't. You know what I mean? And honestly, that's a lot of us now. It's not even our generation. It's almost society in a whole because society in a whole, like that's the thing about it is, which is so funny because we look at ourselves as millennials, Gen A, boomers, all that stuff. Century from now, we'll be just looked at as the 2000th century. You know what I mean? We're just going to be looked at as the group of people that just lived during this time frame. And the group of people that live during this time frame are all oversaturated and exposed with social media. So I think people, different generations that think they know better really don't. Those that have actually lived through it are now getting exposed to social media and their mentality is completely changed. And I think it continues to cause that disconnect between the past generation or which is us. Um it, and then like you said, when we talk to people that are younger than us, It is kinda hard. It's rough listening to them. 'Cause we're like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Like, literally, I like, the amount of times I was, like, listening to something, I'm like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" But you're right, that's exactly what our parents feel about us. They listen to us talking, they're like, "Bro, listen to this guy."
Yeah,
And it's just they gotta sit there with a smile on their face and support us, and I mean, I think that's what we have to continue to do to the next generation. We're all gonna be different.
I feel like that's and that tends to happen with every single generation that there is. From
Yep.
boomers, the greatest generation, and Gen X, and millennials, and Gen Z. Every, like, generation has its issues with the previous. So, and I think that was kind of the whole point of, what's that song by J. Cole? 1985? When he's trying to talk to the younger rappers, the younger artists, because his whole point was, well, I don't understand, but I'm gonna try to. I don't necessarily
Mhm.
like it, but I'm gonna try to understand, because when I was doing what I was doing, there was a whole generation of my parents and, like, the generation up were, like, looking down on me. So, like you say, yeah, it is rather difficult to assess that sometimes, because you kinda almost feel like the old man yelling at clouds. But I think once it's kinda like when you have someone that understands you, it really makes you feel more comfortable, and hopefully, you'll come to your senses about how life is. Because, now people, like, in our age group or a little bit older, we had to learn the hard way. Now, these kids now, they have Chat GPT and Copilot and Google to think for them, which I think
Mhm.
is a little bit dangerous. But
Extremely.
I think that we have to do the work of being there to help guide and direct, because there's gonna be things that come up that we faced, but we can face it, or they can face it with our help. That's what I think.
Yeah. And the thing about things like AI software, um, for those that are actually have work ethic, for those that actually want to do things the right way, those that want to showcase their skill set and their knowledge will always do so. For those that are teeter tottering and for those that are always been lazy, it's just allowed them to get even more lazy.
Yes.
And for those that are teeter tottering, it's now allowed them to really make that decision freely for without even hesitating to be lazy. Um, so it's definitely going to still be people that work hard and have work ethic and are going to uh, showcase their skill set in their field and do it relentlessly. But yeah, now what we've done is we've oversaturated the market with lazy employees or lazy workers rather.
Yeah.
People that don't actually have skill is because their skill is typing it into Google or ChatGPT or Copilot, like you said, other softwares. I mean, you have people that are building multi-million-dollar businesses off of an AI software that builds the app or website for them and does everything for them. That's great and all. I mean, because I love consulting and I love helping people with that. But I mean, a lot of times when those businesses struggle, they struggle hard is because the people that are running those businesses actually don't know what they're doing. They've been having an AI software do it for them.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. I will say that, if I could give any advice to the next generation, is continue to push yourself. It's actually challenge yourself to see how actually smart you are instead of trying to download as many apps as you can to see who can do what for you.
Yeah. I think that, and I really believe that AI is a great tool, but that's all it is really, is a tool. Because I
Yeah,
use AI to look certain things up or help me out with issues, but I also understand that at the end of the day, it's going by what it's programmed to do. Like,
yeah,
nothing is going to replace the human element. There are certain jobs you can't you can't teach AI to fix your toilet. You can't tell AI to you know, install your cable or something like that. Something that or dig a hole for it or for a tree or plant a tree or digging around a tree or
A robot can, bro.
well, yeah, you might be right. There
Or
are
like one of
these
those construction crash. But with that being said, it's interesting that you said it because I always tell people, take the time now as we are shifting into artificial intelligence and more, machinery, being used as employment, is because you should take this time now to build your skill set and see what your strong suit is, and to be really building that is because let me tell you something, AI is gonna take over all these minimum wage jobs,
oh, yeah.
and if you just gotta ask yourself as a business owner, say if you were to open it, if you have your own business or if you was to have your own business, just ask yourself, as a business owner, your job is to continue to solve problems within your business and continue to provide resolutions for your customer. And if there's one big problem within a business, that is the lack of consistent customer service that's quality based, which also deals with why customers depend or choose on that company. It depends on them choosing that company and if they stay with that company. So, um, I think if I'm a business owner and I'm looking at quality scores and customer scores and just I'm just looking at everything across the board. I'm probably getting rid of all of my low minimum wage jobs and replacing them with artificial intelligence, something that's going to not have any emotion in it and it's going to be perfect every single time if I program it that way. Would I do that personally? No. I'm just saying that that's how a lot of these guys are thinking. They're like, what can help me or essentially get the least amount of bad reviews or least amount of just getting my customers in and out quick without any error, without and making them feel like they can come back. And for the most part, we have checkout centers. That's essentially AI. Something
Yeah.
talking to you, and you can check out your own stuff.
Yeah.
And you see that you don't see any cashiers as much anymore.
Yeah.
But you know what you do still see? You still see the managers. So those high paying jobs or those high leadership and skilled positions, I definitely think that people should recognize what's their strong suit is because those are the jobs that you want. It's because those are the jobs that you can't get rid of. Those are the jobs that program those robots and artificial intelligence to
Yeah.
do what they wanted to do so that they can work throughout the day. So keep that in mind, man. This generation is changing.
I'm pretty sure, like, and also another point too, because I understand the resistance to AI, and I get why. But like you said, I think that adaptation is very key because I'm pretty sure, like, even like in the early '90s when internet became a thing, there were people who were fighting against it because of the implications of yeah, no more hard wiring. Things are becoming more wireless, easily accessible, and it probably put a lot of people out of jobs when it first came out because it took away the middleman almost in a way. So
Hmm.
it's kind of like where it is now, where we see AI is taking away that middleman. It's like it's kind of like what's going on in Hollywood, where I just seen some earlier where the Hollywood or the Oscars are completely banning generative AI writing for movies because it's getting to a point where you're having like Chat GPT and these other programs are like making these like I don't know if you've seen those videos online where like they're like making whole movie scenes now. Like
Hmm.
These Marvel type movies, we're seeing like different types of scenes and it looks real.
Yeah,
It's getting like very scary.
it's
So
getting very, very scary, very copyrightish.
yeah, so
It's good.
I think the one thing that people need to do is just like you said, try to adapt and find out where your niche is because there's gonna be jobs for everybody. People are gonna
Oh, for sure.
people like people tend to fear what they don't understand, and there's gonna be room to grow. There's definitely gonna be a room to grow. What was I gonna say? Yeah, just basically the fact that, there's resistance with any new thing. With any new thing that comes out and it's quicker and faster, you're gonna have people who are gonna be fighting against it. But you
Of
either
course.
what's the saying, "You either adapt or die," you know?
Adapt or die.
So, we're gonna keep it
I feel
moving.
you, bro.
We're gonna keep it moving, guys.
By the way, I do wanna say one thing really quickly. One of my favorite memories was going to Blockbuster and finding a movie, man. That was cool. Going to a Blockbuster, finding movies, and I mean, also too, going to GameStop. I know GameStop still is live, but I mean, just buying games digitally is just so much more convenient, but,
I don't know how they're
um
still alive, Imma be honest with you. I
well,
don't
they got the little surge during, COVID or whatnot, but yeah, I don't know how that either. But yeah, I'll let you move on though.
No, no, you're good. No, I have those core memories too, like, I remember getting Batman Begins, and we came over your house to watch it. We were like, order pizza and
Yeah.
everything, and then I think your parents watched the
Dude.
movie or something like that because we all were over there, my parents watched the movie, and then after a while, me and you jumped up, we were like, "It's Batman time!" I got all these memories in my head, dude.
Dude, some of them I don't remember as much, some of them I do. I do remember your family coming over for us to watch Batman Begins. That was one of my favorite, man.
Yeah.
That's when Christian Bale became dear in my heart,
Oh, of course, for sure.
and Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, before we knew he was racist, but,
Before exactly, it was alright.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
You're a
looked at
kid.
we
Yeah.
Taken, all 3 Takens, like, love those movies, and then the tapes came out, and it was like, "Okay, dang."
I will fight you.
"I will find you, and I will kill you."
You actually sound just like him. You know what's crazy? Because I didn't even realize that, like, he was Ra's al Ghul, and I think, yeah, I didn't realize he was Ra's al Ghul, and I didn't know that Samuel L. Jackson until later on. I was like, "Oh, Samuel L. Jackson is in Star Wars." Samuel L. Jackson's in everything.
He's
Nick
in
Fury,
everything.
really, he's like Snoop Dogg of, like, TV.
No, yeah, he was, what was it, Pulp Fiction and the Django, and what else was he in? Snakes on a
He
Plane.
played a he played a great Uncle Tom in Django. He
He
did.
really
He did
did.
a really good job. Yeah.
Who was that on that neck?
Imma have to burn them sheets.
You gonna burn those sheets, they are mine to burn. Uh,
Oh,
who was
man.
that on that neck? That there? That nigga there.
Said my
Hilarious
man
scene,
did you
bro.
say that? Yeah, that scene right there. You know what's funny? I love watching that as a reaction channel on, or, like, watching reaction channels react to that scene right there. That's a good scene.
Yeah,
That's funny.
hilarious scene, man. Huh.
Remember when, Hancock came out?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, we could sit here all day and just reminisce off of childhood, man. That's crazy.
Well, Hancock, I remember when, listen, we were too broke to, like, go to the movie theaters a lot. So,
Yeah, man.
we pilot a lot of our movies. Before we had, streaming, stream pirating, we had,
Mhm.
we had burning CDs and DVDs, and
Yeah, man.
you had to have the plug. You had to know somebody to
You had to
get you a CD. You want them DVDs, you had to know somebody. My
yeah,
dad used
and
to
you
work.
over there trying to tell the person in the movie theater to shut up and stop talking so you can hear the movie.
Right. Like, it was like a
You hear
cam
people cough.
it was a camcorder when you get up and you see somebody walk by the screen, I'm like, "Oh, dang."
Yeah,
Well, you know
man.
what? Listen, that's how I saw
Bro,
Kong. That's how I saw
that's the
Kong.
thing, bro. That stuff happened in the '90s, but it didn't stop until, like, early 2010s, you know what I mean? Maybe even, like,
Yeah.
2012, 13, like, that like, people think that stuff was, like it stopped after 1999, like, 2000 was, like, everything was just all good or something. So
If you didn't get your stuff at the lot, because back then it took when a movie came out, it took, what, a year or so to come to the DVD?
yeah, it wasn't like today where, like, 3 months and it's in streams or
Yeah.
and stuff like that, like, nah, man, that thing took forever, bro. It took forever. I'm talking about, like, especially when like, when Blu-ray came out,
Oh, yeah.
and, like, you had the Blu-ray disc, but you had Blu-ray, like, PS4, PS3, like, that was huge. People were just buying PlayStations just to watch movies at home. Because mind you, that was big for us. That was, like, our Blu-ray was essentially, like, 4K, home, like, movie theater movies style. It was, like, really good quality movies, so the very first Blu-ray to ever come out, I believe, was the Avatar movie.
Yeah.
I believe so. I believe it was Avatar movie, so and I remember when that came out, that was a great movie, um, and we watched that, like, all the time. That was insane, and it's awesome now that they have a video game.
Yeah. Yeah, that, like, when 720 everybody had 720, but I remember, like, when 1080p came out, and then,
Yep,
like and everybody had those, I had one of those TVs with the boxes on the top of it. Like, you had the
yep,
TV, and it's like a huge box in the back of it, and you had your PlayStation with, like, the RCA cables. Bro, these kids don't know about
mhm,
RCA cables, bro. Just that
bro,
red, white, and blue or red and white, yellow, like, cables. Before there was HDMI, we had to, like, plug everything up to the back and hope
mhm.
that they were working, bro. Man, these kids, bro.
Blowing on the CD, blowing on the cartridge, man, they don't
Man.
know about that. And you know what's funny too is that, like, you remember my TV? Remember my big black TV that had the line in the middle? We kept having to smack it just for it to work?
I don't even remember that. What?
Dude, we had to smack that thing, bro, every single time. You know how embarrassing it was when guests like, we in fact, my parents I remember growing up, but there was a certain time, like, my parents didn't invite guests over because they were super embarrassed. It's because of that. And then I just remember that at times where we were like, "Alright, man, we'll just make it work." So we had people over for, like, family worship night, and when it would happen, we'd be like, my dad would get up and be like, "Hey, my bad." "Pow, pow," and, he's just like, "Oh, there you go." And then we'd sit down, and, like, me and Asia would take turns hitting it. Sometimes in the that was the thing too. I couldn't wait until we got a new TV is because in the middle of the night, you couldn't sneak and play video games because if that thing goes in the middle of the night, you gotta I remember doing it one time, and that's it. Just, like, real quick, just trying to get it. And my and you know what was crazy too? No one knows the feeling of trying to turn on your PlayStation and hoping that no one hears that "beep, beep," that little ding.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh.
And you better hope your TV was muted, cause you know, like, how it
Yeah.
used to come on.
Oh my god.
Bro, you sitting there like this.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, like, your parents be like, "What was
Dude.
that?" And you be like, "Nothing." Shut up,
No, no.
man,
No, you over here you turn the TV off real quick and be like, "No, I was looking for something."
Right, right, exactly. I'm just looking.
Yeah. Oh, it's right here. Okay.
Man, these
Good
kids
night.
don't know, bro. Like,
Yeah, man, because they get an iPad for everything they don't get no bedtime, they
bro,
get
they
an
got
iPad
an
for everything,
iPad by the time
they
they
get to go to TV they got a TV in their room with, video games, all that stuff, man, just to get them to go to man,
TV in your room,
crazy.
man.
What?
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 Alright. Alright.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah.
Crazy,
Bro, they
crazy.
these kids getting iPads by the time they're, like, 5. Little 5-year-old with
Dude,
a doggone
try again, they get them, like, 6 months old, and then they get your favorite iPad that you've been saving up for at 5. That's what
Exactly.
they get. Yeah. That's
Well,
the crazy thing.
they got, like, a little preschooler, like, with a doggone iPhone. I'm like, "Bro, I didn't get a working cell phone until I was, like, 15."
What was that exactly? What was that phone that had, like it was like a blue phone and it was like you could only call 4 numbers. It was like mom, dad, some 911 and something else. I
I don't
think it was like Safelite or I don't know what it was. It was like a little family phone. It almost looked like a beeper. It was like blue and green. It had white buttons on it. It was
I
for
think I know
kids
what
and it was a
you're talking
track
about.
phone.
Like a
It
track,
was a track
yeah.
phone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember the track phone. My parents got me those track phones. I remember. And I remember losing my phone too and getting in trouble and then getting another track phone. Bro, man, y'all know nothing about that, bro.
Bro, I remember
Y'all
you
y'all
didn't
get in trouble, y'all get sent home or y'all get sent to y'all room with your phone. It's crazy.
I remember,
And
like,
it's just
that's some of the reasons we never even talked because you never had a phone. We had to, like, call I had to
well,
call your house phone or whatever, or call one of your parents' cell phones, and if they didn't
can I
answer, I
speak to Junior?
yeah,
Is he
exactly.
in trouble? Is he in trouble again? Oh
And then
man.
sometimes you would be in trouble, and
He's
I'm
fine.
like, "I guess I gotta figure something else out."
Yeah. Well, can I still come over? I know he's in trouble, but can I come over? We were supposed to play TK. Oh no, next weekend he's been bad. He was bad. Okay. I'll tell him to behave. Yes, ma'am. I'll tell him to behave. Bye. Call
Look,
back next week. Was he good this week? Can I come over now? Yeah, he was good this week. Okay,
yeah,
I'm
he
coming.
was good. Okay, what time? You bringing your clothes? You gonna bring your clothes? Okay,
Yeah.
alright.
Do we have to pick you up or you gonna get dropped off?
Well, I'll get somebody to drop you off. As soon as I get off work.
You're a kid. Why do you have to go to work?
I remember your mom remember your mom was I don't know if you remember this, but she was like she looked at me dead in my face when I was, like, 7. She's like, "You know I beat kids, right?"
Oh yeah, my mom says that to everybody.
I was like,
She says that to every kid.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't come over."
Yeah. Dad, can he come over our house then? She beat kids.
Listen,
It's like,
you know, you had to ask your homeboy if to ask your parents if you could stay over because they weren't gonna listen to you, but the friend that they like, they'll listen to them. They like them.
yeah. They were like, "Yeah, you need to go over there." He listened to his parents.
Right?
I'd be like, "Alright, bet. I get to come. Thanks for asking." But you can't a but you can't ask. You can't ask 'cause it won't work like
You
that.
can't it
You
don't
gotta
work
have your
like
friend
that.
ask, and you gotta have a good friend ask. And
Yeah,
even if you wanna
exactly.
go hang out with your friend and you know he ain't necessarily good, you gotta have a good friend come just to ask.
Yeah, you
Be
gotta
like, "Can he come over and hang out with
he'll
me?"
be there. He'll be there.
"Yeah, you know what?" And then your parents would say something like this, "You should tell him he needs to listen to his parents."
Right. Dang. That
Like, what he gonna do? Like,
yeah,
and then you
like
gotta go over there and be like, "Yeah, your mom said you can't come, and you need to listen to your parents." That's it's like, bro,
bro. Now
man, that's the childhood we went through, man.
now I remember, like, when we all were car shopping one time and, like, we were, like, riding around Orlando the whole day looking for a car for y'all. It was the
I
doggone
don't even remember that. That's
it
crazy.
was a Ford Fusion, I think, or something like that, a Ford Focus or whatever y'all ended up getting, but, like, literally, like, I
It was
came
a Ford
over
Fusion. We ended up getting a Ford Fusion. That's crazy.
or something like it was
It
some
was a
kind of
black.
Ford.
It was a black Ford Fusion.
Yeah, it was yeah, I do remember it being black. It was like a black Ford Fusion, and, like, we drove around
Yeah.
Orlando car shopping. So me and you would just, like, walk around bored, playing imaginary hoops. 'Cause it was like,
Dang,
"Bro,
that
what
sounds
are
like
you
us.
doing?"
That sounds like us, man, bro.
Man,
That was our childhood, man. We had a lot of fun, bro. You know, our families were going through a lot, but we had a lot of fun.
yeah, man. Well, since we are talking about friendships, um, for those who obviously, if you haven't able to tell already been able to tell, me and AJ have been friends since we were, like, 6, 7 years old, and there was, um there was a study done not a study, but, there was a website I found doing some research about keeping your friends after you turn 20, or basically after your formative years in high school. And just some key statistics here. It says that loneliness peaks at the age of 25 and 45 after the standard education cycles end. It says chronic loneliness in post school adults increases the risk of early death by 26%. Social isolation in adults is associated with a 50% increased risk of dementia, and 42% of adults report that social anxiety is the main barrier of forming post-school friendships. And 12% of Americans say that they have no close friends at all after entering adulthood. Um, 30% of adults meet their closest post high school friends at their place of employment, and high school friends who live more than 50 miles apart have a 70% higher chance of friendship disillusion. Um, I think it's interesting that a lot of people don't have friends out of high school because obviously there's no forced interactions that you have with people. Like, you're not in a confined space where you have to make friends. So I think it's commendable if you do have somebody out of like your high school years that that you still keep close in contact with, because it's you don't know, you no longer have that close proximity to to certain people and having those certain interactions, unless you're at the job and you form your friends then. But those people at your job are not necessarily your friends, because they're just there to do a job just like you're doing, and they also have families, they also have lives. They also have people that they need to answer to as well. So let's get some quick thoughts from you about this stats that I read off there.
So, it's funny. I wrote those down because they all aligned with my thought process on this. So, three things that were four, yeah, three things that I wrote down that you said out of those stats was, uh, well, one, it was a key phrase that this happens at the end of the education cycle. And you were saying 50 miles distance ends up into diluting friendships. And then you also mentioned 30% of individuals in the workplace meet their friends. And so this kind of just aligns to what I think is that most people, or let's just say this in general, when you're a kid, you find your friend group based on emotions. It's how you make each other feel. That's how friends are supposed to be.
Yeah,
When it becomes, uh, more older years where you're becoming an adult and you have to find something to do to provide for yourself, and you pick a career and occupation and industry to go into, your life becomes more monetary focused.
yeah,
And through being monetary focused, you end up picking different lanes. And through those different lanes, you find yourself creating that quote unquote 50-mile distance that ends up diluting your friendships. Wherever the lane that you did pick is essentially where you will probably end up finding a lot of your friends. Um, and in these distances is where the chemistry kind of breaks, the bond kind of breaks. Now, these are for most people. What I've found very, very helpful for myself is to stop finding friends and trying to date people in the workplace. Keep coworkers in the position that they're supposed to be coworkers.
yeah,
Keep your friendships that you grow and work so hard for outside of work. Got to. Keep your friendships, those that you work on in school, the ones that you work on and wherever place of worship you're at, or the ones that you work on, um, and any type of secular activities that you have. Keep those and continue to build on them. Like, yes, of course, you're going to build some friendships in the workplace naturally. It's totally fine. But you definitely have to create a healthy boundary. Because imagine yourself falling out with that friend at the workplace, and then you find yourself looking for another job or hoping that person does. So, when you're able to keep things in an appropriate place, I think you find a lot more peace that way, and you're not losing a lot of these organic friendships that you work so hard to build. Because I see a lot of that, man. I see a lot of individuals that are not necessarily keeping in touch anymore. I see a lot of individuals that kind of only do so because one person reached out. Um, and really, what it comes down to is just there's two different focuses for those people. One is focused on another thing. Another person is focused on something completely opposite. When you essentially treat your friends as your friends and your coworkers as your coworkers and your family as your family, everyone has its own place. You're able to continue to build those relationships organically.
yeah. Um, some other stats that I didn't read because I didn't want to go too long. But it also says it says here, it says 61% of adults find it difficult to make new friends after graduating high school or college. It also says that the average American has not made a new friend in 5 years after entering the workforce. Men are 50% more likely than women to lose touch of all their high school friends within 5 years, which makes total sense. Um, it
All
says
of those make sense.
Yeah. It also says, and this is interesting too. I don't know where they got this from, but it takes approximately 50 hours of shared time to move from acquaintance to casual friend as an adult. And it says adults need nearly 200 hours of quality interaction to become friends after graduation. 40% of adults spend only 30 minutes a week socializing with friends. That actually makes total sense if you think about it because
Okay, so all those time frames actually make a lot of sense. Um, and a lot of those statistics make a lot of sense. Can you run through the first 3 really quickly, just briefly before I comment? I know you said 61%. What?
61% of adults find it difficult to make new friends after graduating high school or college.
Got it. And what was the next one real quick?
So, in the next one, it says the average American has not made a new friend in 5 years after entering the workplace.
Okay, got it. So those 2 statistics actually go hand in hand, and the reason why is for one particular thing. You abandon your organic friendships that you built as childhoods.
Yeah.
So now you go into the workplace or you go into school and you're trying to build these friendships out of nothing, out of thin air from people that are essentially strangers that come from different walks of life that you know nothing about, which is essentially why people end up falling out and they don't actually keep these real friendships. And why these 61% find it difficult to actually find a friend. And you said what, 30% find it difficult to what? To
It says 36, what was that?
greater than the 61%?
I just had it.
You said 36% find it hard to keep a friend?
Oh, no, it says that group-based hobbies increase the likelihood of finding adult friends by 35%.
Oh, no, it was something else, but I kinda remember what it was. It was something
Oh.
about how
It says 30% of adults meet their closest post-high school friends at their place of employment. Is
no,
that it?
no, no, that was a little before. It was a lot further down. But it was something essentially by, um, something about 36% of individuals find it harder to start friendships, and, something of that effect, and the reason why I was saying that goes hand in hand with the 61% that find it difficult to find friends is because I feel like when you give up or you stop putting effort into a friendship that you built so much into, it's kind of really hard for you to start putting effort into another person that you know nothing about. And it's really, really hard. Like you can, yes, build these friendships with adults that you've never met before. Like I said, it was what 200 hours of quality time.
Yeah,
That makes a good amount of sense.
yeah.
Because if we're talking about that's at least hanging out with you for 2 hours. What 20 times? I don't know my math right now. It's pretty off. But anyway, I
That public school
don't know
math,
that often.
guys. That public school
Yeah,
math, guys.
Dr. Phillips at work. But yeah, it's just I don't think adults right now are putting in that effort to do that.
Yeah,
Who is actually right now putting in 200 quality hours of actually trying to get to know someone for real, and call them a best friend in their adulthood? It doesn't happen enough. It happens, but it doesn't happen enough. And the reason why is because so many people have just given up on the friendships that they already had when they were younger. They're like, "Oh, you know how many times you've ever listened to someone and they're like, 'Oh, I used to have this friend. I used to have this friend that did this. I used to have this friend. Oh, you know, my childhood friend did this.'" Like, where's that friend now? They don't have 'em. They went 2 different ways in life.
because you have to be like with adult friends, you have to be intentional. So that means initiating plans. That means texting first, following up on those plans, being consistent, which is hard, you know,
Yeah.
and then obviously, which everyone goes through at that awkward stage of like not really knowing that person, not really knowing their likes and their dislikes and the ways that they communicate. the ways that they the ways that they process emotions, the ways that they process stress and deal with stress. Um, Social media, I mean, people use social media to make friends, but it's only surface level. It's only surface
Yeah.
level. You can keep connections with people, yeah, but it's like you don't know what's really going on with that person. You
Like,
know,
you make me money, so I'm gonna be your friend.
yeah,
Yeah. It's and it's funny because all that stuff that you were talking about where, there's commitment involved to being someone's friend, it's we didn't think anything about that as kids.
yeah,
You just
exactly.
commit. Commit. It's like, we weren't thinking about how much things cost and what it costs to do something. We just said, "Mom, Dad, can I go hang out? Can I go hang out with my best friend?" You know what I mean? That was it. Now it's like to keep a friendship, man, it's expensive. I ain't gonna lie.
You got
Friends always
gas and
asking
stuff
you
like that, and
Yeah, friends are always asking you somewhere. Friends are always, that's what it takes effort, man. It takes real effort to
friends
keep
always
friends.
friends always
Me
asking
and
you for money.
Trevor had like a disconnect for about almost a decade, but it took effort for us to reach back out to each other and actually continue to put chemistry into rebuilding our friendship and stuff like that. I don't think a lot of people actually care to do that on a consistent level.
Yeah, man, that bond has to be started when you're young because you're like we talked about the core memories. A lot of obviously all those core memories that we talked about are intrinsically tied to each other. Like it wasn't just some random Joe Schmo that I went over his house to, that I went over your house or you came over my house. So those memories are fortunately or unfortunately tied to the person. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's hard to do that over like when you're like over the age of 20 because you're working, you're trying to get your life started. Um like I said earlier, you lose the forced proximity that you had in school where you kind of had to because school is obviously just as social as it is educational.
Mhm.
And you know you got kids, some people, you might have kids, you might have, like I said, you might have jobs, you might have other family members that you have to help out and attend to, so you may not necessarily have the emotional bandwidth that it takes to communicate or commit with communication and stuff like that because you're trying to worry about the stuff that you got going on. Listen, we've been friends since we were 6 and 7 years old, and only time I talked to you was on here. So
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah, man. That's kind of true. And like we have busy lives. I'm going through school right now. I'm dating. And we're always just out and about and stuff like that. So right now, like you say, we just put in the effort, trying to hang out with each other any way we can. We do this to continue to build that bond and chemistry between our friendship. And I think there's so many ways today now too, being that it's really easy. I mean, you could just call someone up, have a FaceTime, and sit there on the phone for a couple of minutes, but it's all it takes about effort.
Yeah, for sure. It just takes a little bit of effort. If there's listen, guys, if there's anybody that obviously you hear us talking, and if there's anybody that you've thought about, over the course of listening to us, and that you've been friends with for any length of time, and you haven't had the courage to reach out, go ahead and reach out. I promise
Yeah,
you,
man.
it might end up working out good for you. You don't want to
And
end up.
also, I encourage also for crushes too, man. If you got a crush on somebody, man, shoot your shot, man.
Yeah, that's true too.
Appropriately, don't say nothing crazy.
Please don't. Don't get canceled. Which
And
kind
don't
of
say I said something.
right. You ain't hear that from me though. Which this topic actually kind of goes into the next one I'm talking about loneliness and adulthood because as we've been mentioning with the way life is with jobs and kids and maybe even work and bills, it's very easy to feel lonely because there's a certain isolation that you have being an adult, and I didn't even realize this, like, when you start paying bills and when you start trying to work and take care of yourself, there is a sense of isolation that you feel because everyone else is going through it too. So it's not like
Yeah,
you can't just, like, always vent to people about it because it's like, yeah, you don't wanna dump on somebody because they're going through the exact same thing that you are. Um,
yeah.
have you experienced this more so, or and if so, how have you dealt with it?
And I felt like that for a long time. I was on my own for a very, very, very long time. So, and yeah, and honestly, it can come in many different ways. It can come from the lack of friends, which I had. It can have come from a lack of support in family, which I had at one point. But also, it can come from a lack of relationship and spirituality with God, which I had at one point. But also, just even if you do have good relationships with Jehovah and you have a great relationship with your friends and family, um, like I said, even when you're busy, you could feel this loneliness. I think we have so much responsibility as adults. So much pressure is on us that we feel that we're the only ones that have this pressure. Um, we feel as if no one cares what we're going through. No one's going to try to help us, or no one wants to help us. We feel like people put it on us, and we didn't ask for it, and people are blaming for us for something or whatever it is, and we just always feel like our back is against the wall. Doesn't matter what the who the adult is, we just always feel like our back is against the wall. You could be married, you could be not be married, you could be in a relationship where you feel like you have a strong support system, and even then, you will somewhat feel as if my back is against the wall at all times. And with this economy and the high uh, prices, the high raising prices of almost anything, inflation rather is the word I was trying to say. Sorry about that, guys. Inflation. It's and the lack of increase in income. Almost anybody, even a teenager, I feel a lot of pressure right now. A lot of pressure. So that pressure alone makes you feel almost lonely because people can sit there and try to comfort you, console you. But I feel as if unless someone solves the problem for you, you feel as if you're alone. Like
Yeah,
if someone was to be like, let me come in and take your problem away from you, solve it for you, then I feel like we don't feel alone anymore. But because that doesn't necessarily happen like that, and we have to work through our own issues and be uh, resilient. We have to be resilient towards our problems.
yeah,
You know, that can make people feel as if they're lonely. It can make them really feel like they're lonely because they're like, "Ah, I gotta actually get through this." And they see themselves trot themselves to work every day. They see themselves cook for themselves or have to take care of themselves, even if they have a spouse. And no one else can do that for them, and that's true because no one else can do that for them. But that's just the everyday lives of living as an adult, and I think you really only feel that way in your younger years when you realize what being an adult really is. You have this idea of what being an adult is at a young age. When you actually figure out what life is, early on, it could be pretty depressing. It could feel very disappointing.
yeah.
You could feel very, very lonely and isolated. Till eventually you kinda understand what your role is in life and and what life really is, and from there, I think you start to gain your confidence. For those, it happens younger than others, but yeah. And then also too, like, just really quick before you go, I think in today's day and age where you see people have so many followers, these influencers, everybody's following them, everybody wants to be like them, everybody wants to be their friend, blah, blah, yeah, yeah, and I think if you don't feel that sense of people lusting to be your friend or be in your circle or be in your posse, so to speak. I think for some people that can make them feel lonely. For some people that get caught up in that, it can make them feel really lonely. And that's more younger people. Yes, you definitely have a lot of adults that are like that, a lot. But I think with the younger generation, because they're growing up on that, or they're growing up with streamers walking around in this posse era where we were used to it walking with rappers and celebrities. But now you have regular people that go to school, and then once they leave school, or not even once they leave school, they're recording the whole time while they're at school now. They're recording while they're at school, they're recording outside the school bus, they're recording. So now these kids are seeing other kids do stuff, and then they have all these other kids that flock towards them because they become these huge influencers. And when you're getting passed up or you essentially walked by and people are brushing your shoulders just to get to the next guy in front of you because he has some high following YouTube page or TikTok or Instagram, it can make you feel lonely as well. And you can carry that mentality into your adulthood.
Real quick, do you hate that too? Like, we're in the era of like everybody has to pull out their phones and record everything. I can
I just wanna eat my food. I just wanna eat my food when I get my food, bro.
listen. I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't be.
I don't want my dinner on your Instagram, I'm sorry. I'm messing you up.
Listen, bro.
Imma start eating my food.
I couldn't be like an athlete or like a celebrity in this time, bro. No, I couldn't do it because everyone's like recording you and stuff. Like, bro, why are you actually recording me, you weirdo? Like, I don't
Yeah, man.
understand. Like, and everyone's just like, I don't know how many times you've seen those videos of like somebody would be drowning or like somebody getting beat up, and then you see everybody like this. Help
It's
him!
crazy.
What do you help him? What are you doing?
Yeah, like, it's about to make you famous because you caught a video of someone getting beat up or something. That's what people really think. That, "Oh, Imma post this on YouTube." How do you feel about posting another man getting beat or a woman being robbed and harassed and posting it to your page? Like, dude, what are you doing?
Like, bro, why would
That's not even cool, bro.
it's really not.
And you know what it is? It's because, oh, people are gonna comment and like it anyway, so that's why they think it's cool, and the thing about it, they don't even realize the people that comment and like it are not even good people.
They're not.
So you just made yourself accessible to actually bad people. Insane.
And what Charleston White said, if I'm getting beat up and I wake up and I see you with the phone, I'm shooting the one with the phone. That dude's hilarious. But but yeah,
Man,
like
he's stupid.
everyone's like in this like recording era, and I hate to say it, but these streamers like Speed and Kai and everybody who's really been like the genesis of that whole thing. And unfortunately, it's kind of on them. You know, I think that I don't know, just
Kai with the streamer university and stuff like that.
yeah, not
And
now.
you know what it
Nowadays, these kids they want to be streamers. Like back in our day, like you wanted to be like a plumber or an electrician or something that's gonna like provide
yeah,
like a good stable like a nurse or something or a doctor. Now you ask a kid like 16, 17 years old, I want to be a streamer like Kai and Speed. Like, come on, bro.
and it's like so much it's not really that accessible as you think it is too, but,
It's not.
eh, man, it's tough, and a lot of those guys, they were streaming for and this is the thing, those guys, like, that we name actually kinda are somewhat skillful and have ambition. They taught themselves everything about that industry. They taught themselves, they scaled their own businesses to be million-dollar businesses on their own with some help here and there from mentorships and, lawyers, accountants, all different types. Like, they had a whole team, and eventually they scaled themselves to making better and bigger content. A lot of these kids that just see that, "Oh, I wanna be a streamer like them," they don't know what it takes. They don't know what it takes, and then when they finally realize what it takes, they don't put nearly as much effort until they crash and burn out, and next thing you know, they missed out on their opportunity to actually have a real job. So, I just think that, like, for those, establish yourself first. Get yourself a skill set. You wanna be a streamer? There's no problem with that. Me me and, Trev are doing podcasting, we became podcasters for no reason. So it's like there's nothing wrong with it, bro. There's nothing really wrong with it. If you have a business and you wanna promote it, obviously, you're gonna need to have some type of content creation and marketing, sector of your business. So it's like there's nothing wrong with that. But I think you don't actually have a skill set that you could use as a leverage your background first before even doing that. You're just creating yourself, or you're setting yourself up for failure, right? Creating like a recipe for disaster.
You gotta have something to fall back on. Like just in case, like
Always.
say like it doesn't work out. It's just I mean, obviously we're not hoping and praying that that happens, but you have to have a backup plan. You have to have Like, you have to have money to put into this. Like, I had to get a microphone, I had to get a ring light, a
Mhm.
camera, stuff like that. Things that are gonna be like,
Pay for the monthly or subscription for the
yeah,
software and
you
stuff
gotta
like.
pay for it, like, because, the how you think I'm posting clips. Obviously, like, AI is helping me out, like, there's an assistant on this app that does, like, makes clips and stuff like that, gives me the show notes, but at the same time, it's like, I have to somebody has to pay for that
Yeah,
every month.
exactly.
Like,
Every single
literally.
month, and the thing about it is, to be able to do that, you gotta have a job or some type of source of income, which means you need to go get you need to earn a skill or learn a skill, even if it's like a medial job like labor. Learn how to be humble and work with your hands, you know what I mean? And those skills that you use or you learn will actually be very, very vital and resourceful while you become a streamer, content creator, anything you do. I work in a neurology field in epilepsy, with patients that have seizures and or that are at risk of seizures. But I mean, I was working in food and beverage and hospitality first. It's two different fields. However, I use my hospitality and my customer service and my attention to detail and my consideration, exceeding expectations mentality that I would use in hospitality. I just brought that bedside. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So while I'm doing my job, I'm attention to detail, making sure I exceed expectations. Hospitality, customer service, bedside, patient, man, talking to the patient and patient family, making sure that they feel okay. So you got to be able to earn skill before you go off and do something else. And it's the same skills that I build with that keep me persistent in doing this right here whenever I can and continue to try to let this grow. So, the same thing for Trevor, the things that he learned and his skill set allows him to do this as well. Even when we don't realize it sometimes, we're like, you know what? I don't even know how I got this. Like if someone was to ask a question like, how'd you get skill from this? Or what made you think this way? What gave you this mentality? A lot of times it comes from something in our earlier years, from experiences that we got from our earlier years and, past occupations and industries that we've worked in, past coworkers or past friends that we've had in our past lives, so to speak, that allow us to get to a place of where we're at today.
you have to.
And,
Yeah,
you just pick up a camera and a mic and a flashlight. It's not going to work.
yeah, it's not that simple because then you have to worry about the business side of things. There's a whole other business side that people don't think about. But like you said, you
Yeah.
have to have another source of income. So that listen, that might, and even like with me doing music, you have to have another source of income because it's not your typical 9 to 5 where you get a check every month, a check every week, and a pay stub. It's not like you have to have the money to invest. Eventually, I want to start investing to within like posting on social media and getting more advertisements out so more people can see it. Because the name of the game nowadays is engagement and getting out to getting directly to the people, direct to consumer. That's the name of the game now. But you have to be able to have a job. Like, hey, listen, if you gotta get up 5 in the morning and dig some trenches, you gotta get up 5, 6 in the morning and dig some holes or go work in a warehouse and go move some boxes, so be it. But I did that's all that's like literally that's all the type of work that I've did over the course of my life has been in on working on, working on somebody's yard or working on somebody's warehouse or a construction site. But you know what? Hey, the
My first
bills are
my
paying.
first job was going to people in my congregation asking them, "Can I cut your grass for $20?"
There you go.
Yeah.
Listen, it's all green. It's all green.
Hey, the man behind the register accept everything that has a face on it.
Right, exactly. That's it's true.
So,
Yes,
I mean, so
you
and
gotta
you
have
gotta make
something.
honest work too. Honest work, bro, will help you with, it'll actually make you feel a lot more fulfilled when you do start to see the success of making content. And I want to keep in mind here and let people know. I mean, we're not experts. Uh,
Yeah.
we're still growing. We're still figuring things out as well. Quality content, equipment, conversation pieces, consistency, scheduling, all of that. So, we're still figuring out it as well. Um, we're just kind of sharing some type of encouragement and also some good advice that kind of helps us and how we're able to actually give you guys this episode right here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point too. Just so y'all know, like, don't be like, oh well, Trevor and AJ said I gotta like, bro. Just this is things that we've learned and experiences in our life. We're not experts, like you just said. We're not financial advisors or life coaches. It's just things that we've been through that has shaped who we are. And if we can go back and change how certain things were done, I know I probably would. But that's the thing about life. That's the beauty of life is you take what you've learned and you use it for whatever you got to face next. So,
Absolutely.
well, ladies
That
and
reminds me. Remember, like sometimes when you're like playing, what was it, Forza Motorsport or was it Gran Turismo? I think it was Forza, and you like messed up a turn, and you could hold down X,
yeah,
and it would replay the turn. Sometimes I hold that. I wish that was life. We could just hold down X real quick, replay
I
that job interview,
remember that.
replay that
Remember Madden.
pickup
I think it
line.
was Madden '09 when they had the rewind feature. Like if
Oh
you,
yeah,
that's what I wish.
bro. I think what was it? Was it Madden 11 or Madden 10? The one with like Terrell Owens. It was Calvin Johnson. The one with Calvin Johnson going crazy.
Oh yeah, that was like Madden 14 or Madden 25. They call it.
Oh no, they're doing something different. I think it may have been. I forgot what it was. I think it may have been like 2008 or something. It may have been Madden '08, but the one where they brought out the one hand catches. Which one was that? That was my favorite one.
That was probably like 13 or 14.
Possibly, but it's that one was really really good. I really liked that one. I just thought it was fun because it brought this like arcade play style to the where you can like deep bombs were actually accurate, one hand catches over the shoulder, back end zone catches. Like it was those were fun, man. That was alright. Remember like when Plexico Burris won the Super Bowl when we sit there? We talked about this before. But while we were going down memory lane before we move on or close this out, those days of running through plays and stuff like that and being in the backyard and like, we see a huge play, so we gotta reenact it ourselves.
Yeah,
Um, Plexico Burris, uh, from Eli Manning, the Santonio Holmes from Ben Roethlisberger, or Santana Moss rather.
it
Um,
was Antonio Holmes. Yeah, you're
was it
right.
it was Santana Holmes? It was Santana Holmes? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's man, there's so many players that bro, we got a lot more episodes to come, man, when we talk
yeah.
about we go back to sports, man, because we definitely gotta head back to sports soon.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's gonna be a after the finals. There's gonna be a little bit of a lull. I don't really watch baseball like that, unfortunately. Um, it's gonna be a little bit of a lull until training camp starts, and we start to see what our teams are looking like and see what the league is looking like around that time. We gotta have Lim on one of these episodes. I don't know when. He just be so busy. Um,
Don't worry, guys, we'll have some guests
Jonathan got
for
to
some
come back
soccer.
too.
Yeah, we'll have some guests for some soccer. We'll have some guests for some baseball for the summer. We will also, hockey finals should be coming up, or they should be in their playoffs. So I'm not sure. I actually need to see what their season is, but usually they're in the playoffs and finals around the same time as basketball. Hockey and NBA usually around the same time. So I'll have to check. But
Yeah,
we'll try to accommodate to all those fans out there because we may not know everything, but what we do is we love sports and we love talking, and
yeah,
we can bring some people on, ask the right questions, let them talk. And like you said, we'll definitely get Jonathan back on. We've been saying that a lot, but we definitely gotta get Jonathan back on. We gotta get Coach back out here, Coach Pollard.
yeah,
Um, and especially with the off season, I know he's liked a few things probably that he's seen that he would love to talk about. Probably would love to question a few things as coaches do. So we
yeah,
gotta get him back on here, man.
for sure, man. Yeah, guys. That brings this episode to a close, though. It's been a very fun and very informative episode. We still have a lot to get to on the docket here, but we're gonna end it like this. We'll be probably back next week for a part two. because there's a few more things that we wanted to get to, but we didn't have the time today. But that is quite all right. I'm gonna be here. This microphone's gonna be here. So hopefully we can get that up next part two out there for y'all, man. But like I said,
It's
man, that has been another episode of the It's Been a Minute podcast. Once again, y'all know me. I'm your host, Trevor Augustus, and my partner in crime to the left, or however you're viewing this podcast, is Angus AJ Johnson. That is another one in the books, y'all. Peace.
peace.
Yes, sir.